Hi, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is my third time doing this live thing. I like it. I like it. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me all right. I think you can because I'm using my AirPods. Um, Day three of the journey. I'm still talking about the top childhood journey. If you're listening or watching live, I want to thank you. If you're watching from the replay, I want to thank you as well for listening in. And remember, yesterday we were talking about expanding our horizons and how during the summer we used to spend uh, our summers with different family members in other states, at least for me, outside of the Bronx, which was nice. So today we're going to expand upon that. And another childhood memory that I wanted to share with you guys is my first time on an airplane. And I remember it like it was yesterday because, when you're like 11 years old and you're getting on a plane for the first time, I was a little nervous. I was scared, but my dad is the one who took me on my first airplane ride. And guess where we were going? Disney World. Okay. It was phenomenal. So imagine being a child going to Disney World for the first time. And I remember sitting next to my dad. And when we left from the BWI airport, there was actually a thunderstorm that day as we were in the air. And so every time there was a little bit of an air pocket, a little bit of turbulence, I would grab my dad's hand and he would have to calm me down so that way I wouldn't be freaking out on the plane because I'm thinking that, there's lightning and thundering in the air and that we're going to get like hit or something. So, it was crazy. It was scary for me because it was my first time, but I knew that if I could just relax a little bit, I'll be excited because we'll be at Disney World soon. And the reason why we were going to Disney is because, as I mentioned before, my dad's an entrepreneur, he's a funeral director, and every year they have these conferences. And so that year, it was in Orlando. So he took me, and guess what? I had my own room. We were in a fancy hotel. I don't remember the name of it, but to me it was fancy. Okay. And he didn't give me any limitations, which was strange, right? So I was pretty much able to do whatever I want. I was hanging out with the other kids that were there for the conference with their parents, and we would be running all through the hotel, having fun, going to the pool, having a good time. And one of the things that I did was I actually ordered room service a lot. So, like the first 2 or 3 days, I was ordering breakfast, I was ordering dinners, and my dad, because he was working, he didn't really catch what was going on, right? And then I think about the third day, he must have checked the bill or checked the account. And he came out, he was like, "What are these charges I see?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I was hungry, so I ordered room service. Like it was no big deal." Right? And he was like, he nipped that in the bud like crazy. He was like, "Don't order any food from the room service place. Go downstairs, pick something at the restaurant, tell me what you need, and I'll get it. It's too expensive if you get it from there." All right. So that was my first experience where before he was like, "Okay, let me do what I want." I had some freedom, but then he realized, okay, I'm giving her too much freedom. I didn't tell her that she couldn't order room service. So he had to stop that. Right. And then a few days later, my cousins joined us, which was so much fun. So that way I had people that I knew. Yes, I met new friends while I was down there, but I now had my cousins join me, and they stayed in our room, and we went to Magic Kingdom. We went to Epcot. I believe Epcot had just opened that year. So it was a big deal. And remember, I was telling you guys how we didn't have a lot of money. I was pretty much, poor, went to Catholic school. So much so, let me tell you what my summer wardrobe looked like. I had on Catholic school shirts. You guys know those white collared shirts that are rounded at the top, along with like khaki shorts. Or I would have the white collared shirt with jean shorts. Or I'd have the white collared shirt. It was just the white collared shirt, Catholic school shirt, with a different pair of shorts every other day. Okay. So, and what's funny is that my cousin has a picture of it, of us in front of the Epcot ball, and she posted every birthday. And okay, so stop doing that, all right? But that's a reminder to let you guys know that we didn't really have a much of a wardrobe when we were young. Now, I want you guys to think back. Do you remember what your first plane ride was and how old you are? If you do, put it in the chat. Let us know where you went. I can see that Val is on, Valerie from Boston, Springfield area, and Dion. Thanks for joining us today. But if you guys remember where you went on your first plane ride, put it in the chat, and how old you are, put in the chat. For me, I was 11 and we went to Disney World and it was the best thing ever. Okay. Now, the other things that I wanted to share is that, oh, wait, hold on. It looks like my battery is getting low on my laptop. Hold on a second. Let me go grab the plug. It's right here. Here we go. See, this tells you that you're live because you never know when these things are going to happen. Okay. So, the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is this was really called like unconditional love because I actually started to think about the things that my mom has done for me when I was little, and how they weren't the best things, best memories sometimes because our parents sometimes they do things so much so it's to the detriment of themselves, right? And maybe some of you guys can remember that. And I remember, as my mom was climbing up the corporate ladder, she worked down in Wall Street area. And, back then they used to have company picnics every year for you to bring your family and things like that. So I don't remember how old I was, but I remember we took the train down there. We got off at Bowling Green. There's a park down in Manhattan. We're playing all the company games, meeting other kids and stuff. And we actually won some toys. And one of the toys that I won, you guys may remember it. It was like a yo-yo, but it's on this silver little cylinder. So you go like this to it, and the little yo-yo thing is going back and forth, right? So on the way home, I'm having a blast. I'm loving this toy. We're on the subway platform at Bowling Green. And I have to tell you that this is really an uncomfortable memory for me. And I didn't really want to share it, but it's just to let you know that sometimes we do things as kids that we're not that proud of, or they were selfish thoughts, right? So I'm playing with this toy. We're on the train platform, and the toy falls onto the train tracks. So I start making a fuss, like, oh my God, I want my toy back. I don't even remember what crazy things I was doing as a child. And guys, my mom went down on the train tracks to pick up the toy. And I'm thinking back now as an adult, I'm like, why didn't she just say, shut up, I'll buy you another toy, forget about that one. We can get another one at any time. But for some reason, she climbed down on the train tracks and risked her life for that toy just for me. And I know that it was a horrible memory because my brother and my sister still think about that memory from time to time, right? And what I want everyone to realize that everything worked out. I mean, she had a hard time getting back up, but there was wonderful strangers on the platform who couldn't believe what was going on, and they helped my mom get back off the platform so that way there was no issues with the trains coming or anything. But I just think back at that thought, and I'm like, why would my mom do that for me? Why would she do that? And it's because as a parent, sometimes we do things not even thinking about the consequences of what we're doing for our child, right? So, I mean, who can relate to that? Have any of you guys just think back on your childhood? Is there something that your mom or dad did for you? Just put yes in the chat. You don't have to tell us what it is, but just say, yes, I can relate, that you remember something that they did for you out of unconditional love that was probably to the detriment of them just to help you to be a better person or to help you get through something, right? So that was just one example. I remember my mom sharing unconditional love for me. And another example that I thought of is that, as I mentioned, we didn't have a lot of clothes, right? And I was allowed to go on a summer camp trip. It was a sleepaway camp at that. And I remember I didn't have a lot of clothes, whatever. And about a week before I went on the trip, my mom got a new American Express card in the mail. You remember, the green Amex card? They didn't have all the different colors that they have today. They didn't have the limits where you could just pay them off over time back then. With Amex back then, whatever you charge, you got to pay at the end of the month. And my mom had just gotten the card in the mail and she was like, Lisa, come on, I'm going to take you shopping. I'm going to get you some new clothes for your trip. And I was like, what? For real? All right, where we going? We're going to go to Alexander's down on 3rd Avenue. Who knows about Alexander's, right? Remember that store? Or I'm like, oh, maybe we're going to go to Conway. Conway was big for us as well. Or Woolworths. I remember walking to Woolworths as well. She was like, no, no, no. We're going to go to Bloomingdale's on 59th Street in Lexington. And I was like, really? My eyes got real big. And I was like, okay, let's go. So my mom took me. It was just the two of us. We went down there. I was able to pick anything I wanted to wear for a summer camp. I remember getting a brand new bathing suit. It was gray with green stripes on it. I remember like it was yesterday. It was a one piece, and she was able to take that card out and charge it. And I know she felt so powerful being able to buy me whatever I wanted. And I think back because honestly, I don't even know if my mom paid that credit card bill because we didn't have any money like that. Because you got to pay that whole bill at the end of the month with Amex. But I'm like, why would mom do that? And it's because she had so much love for me. And as I mentioned before, as a middle child, sometimes you're independent. You're just trying to keep your head down. You don't want to be the kid that's always getting in trouble. You want to be that strong person for your parents. And I think subconsciously my mom wanted to reward me for being on the straight and narrow at this point in my life. And she was like, this is something that I can give to Lisa now. Let me go ahead and take on the shopping spree. So that was one example, just another example really of how my mom shared, you know, this this experience with me. And I was like on cloud nine for forever. So I want you guys to think about this, all right? As if you were a middle child, what are some of the things that you had to do as a for responsibilities around the house or whatever, or take care of your other siblings? I know for me, I had to help my brother with his homework. And sometimes my mom had to remove me from that situation because I was really good at school and if someone else wasn't getting it, I'd be like, "Oh man, what's wrong with you? Why don't you get it?" And I remember one time my mom was like, "Okay, that's enough. Don't help him anymore. You need to step away from the situation," right? So she had to relieve me of that responsibility. So what are some of the things that you had to do to help your family out? Maybe you had to make lunches for everyone. Maybe you had to help one of your siblings with their homework. Whatever it is, share it so that way we could share that experience. Okay. Um, so, what I wanted to say is that we have fantastic memories of our childhoods. Hopefully, these last couple of days have helped you to remember something positive as well. And I think tomorrow what we'll talk about is the teenage years, what I like to call the wonder years. This is when, as a kid, you start to change a little bit, you start to act up a little bit. So we're going to talk about that some more tomorrow. But if again, I want to thank you for listening in today. This is actually starting to become therapeutic for me. I'm enjoying it. I'm now not as tense or nervous as I was on day one. And sometimes you just got to get right out there and do whatever it is that you want to do, right? And this is one of the ways that I wanted to share stories. And really, it's been helping me to remember my mom. My mom passed away in 2002. And having these memories and sharing them with you guys has really been a joy for me and also for my sisters and my brother. And we've been having fun just thinking about it. All right. So I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Just check out my live. Again, I appreciate you if you're watching live or if you're watching a replay. Have a great day. Thanks so much.